Most of us grew up hearing the same narrative about cats. They're independent, self-sufficient, and perfectly happy to sleep 16 hours a day while ignoring everyone around them. However, that chill demeanor can be misleading. In a domestic setting, signs of chronic stress or physical discomfort are often subtle, manifesting as a quiet withdrawal that we frequently mistake for contentment. Nobody intends to put their pet through this. The problem usually stems from a very innocent misunderstanding of what a cat requires to function. We treat them like tiny humans, or perhaps slightly aloof dogs, expecting them to thrive under our standard household rules. To understand what goes wrong, we have to look at what a cat actually is. You don't share your home with a domesticated companion animal in the way a dog owner does. You are housing a specialized, wild biological machine that is trying to operate inside an artificial modern environment. Projecting human emotions and dog-centric habits onto them creates constant friction with their evolutionary biology. Over time, these small daily stresses erode their health and the trust they place in us. This biological mismatch starts with the most basic thing they do every day: eat. A cat's ancestors evolved in arid desert environments where standing water was rare, so they developed a low natural thirst drive, deriving hydration directly from the prey they hunted. This diagram compares the moisture content of a cat's natural prey against standard dry kibble. While a wild diet is packed with water, the dry food we pour into their bowls sits at only about 10% moisture. We are feeding an animal naturally disinclined to drink an almost entirely dehydrated diet. This chart shows the resulting strain on the feline renal system. Day after day, a dry-only diet keeps the cat in a state of chronic, low-level dehydration. Over years, this persistent moisture deficit damages the urinary tract and contributes to kidney disease, which is the leading cause of death in older cats. That biological disconnect extends from their diet into their neurology. Cats are hardwired predators whose brains revolve around a very specific sequence: stalk, chase, pounce, catch, kill, and then eat. In a typical indoor home, weeks can pass without a cat ever completing this sequence. When that cycle never gets activated, their neurology effectively starves. The resulting frustration manifests physically through rapid weight gain, obsessive overgrooming, and lethargy. A cat sleeping away the entire afternoon isn't necessarily lazy. Their predatory drive has shut down from lack of use, and their internal organs are functioning in a state of artificial drought. To understand their behavior, we have to account for a biological contradiction. While cats are effective predators, their small size simultaneously makes them hardwired prey animals. This layout illustrates a cat's restricted lines of sight when their litter box is shoved into a tight corner. Hiding the box keeps it out of our sight, but it also blocks off the cat's escape routes. It leaves them vulnerable right when they are most exposed, triggering an intense prey animal anxiety response. Behaviorists solve this using the N+1 rule: one box per cat plus one extra, distributed in open, accessible areas. This restores their sense of environmental control and often stops the territorial tension that causes them to eliminate outside the box. That same need for safety dictates how they experience physical touch. If you pet a cat the way you pet a dog, you are ignoring their anatomy. Feline skin is packed with a dense network of highly sensitive nerve endings. This sensory map highlights exactly how that anatomy works. While the zones around the cheeks and chin are soothing, touching the belly or the base of the tail can rapidly overwhelm their nervous system. This causes petting-induced overstimulation, turning what was supposed to be affection into a distressing event. A cat showing you their belly is offering trust, not an invitation for a rub. Honoring those sensory limits is the difference between a secure, affectionate companion and an anxious animal. That anxiety is compounded by how we try to discipline them. When a cat knocks something off a table, the immediate human instinct is to yell, but feline neurology lacks the cause and effect reasoning required to connect a loud noise with their previous action. They do not learn what they did wrong. Instead, the cat maps the sudden volume and aggressive energy directly to the owner. Over time, the person they rely on for safety becomes categorized as an unpredictable threat in their territory. We often justify these friction points by assuming cats are emotionally detached. However, studies show that cats form genuine, secure attachment bonds with their caregivers that are strikingly similar to the bonds human infants form with their parents. This is why leaving them alone for 10 or 12 hours a day takes such a heavy toll. Unlike a dog that might bark or destroy furniture, a cat's isolation anxiety manifests through a silent withdrawal. They withdraw, change their eating habits, or overgroom, signs that are easily overlooked. The combination of vocal reprimands and long periods of isolation forces the cat to navigate an environment that feels both unpredictable and lonely. This erodes the very attachment bond the cat relies on to feel secure in their own home. The encouraging news is that feline behavior is remarkably responsive to change. When an owner starts aligning with the animal's biology instead of fighting it, the behavioral shift is immediate. That seemingly disengaged pet can quickly transform into a vibrant, interactive companion. The necessary interventions take very little effort. Adding wet food to their diet protects their kidneys. Engaging their predatory sequence for just 10 minutes a day satisfies their neurological drive, and moving their litter box out of a dark corner restores their sense of security. Finally, we have to acknowledge their emotional capacity. When you return home after a long day, being genuinely present for even a few minutes reinforces the secure attachment they need. By abandoning human-centric assumptions and accommodating their wild biology, we stop forcing them into a defensive posture. When a cat finally feels safe, you get to see the true, deeply connected personality of the animal living in your home.